ad-lib. You mentioned it was over 800 throws and catches between these two guys. This is what happens when you develop chemistry like that. And credit Matt Ryan for buying time, but you put Jeff Gladney in such a tough position. He thought Julio Jones was blocking him so Matt Ryan could take a shot to convert the fourth down, and then he just slips him. He sees his quarterback starting to backpedal and makes a great adjustment.
Julio Jones at 31 years of age, taking advantage of the young rookie corner. His second touchdown of the game. It caps off an 8-play drive and a huge fourth down conversion that has Matt Ryan saying, yes, sir.
Just $5.
And Julio Jones, 57 100-yard games now, and also the 58th time that he and Matt Ryan have connected for a touchdown pass and catch. Well, we said, could Atlanta respond? At least they got a first down. Then on fourth and long, look, they convert for a touchdown here.
Yeah, and Jeff Gladney does everything he can right here. This is a hard route to cover. The in and out. Watch the savvy right here by Julio Jones. So you've maintained your man-to-man coverage. You're coming out. You think he's blocking you, so your quarterback can maybe try and get the first down, and you give up a 40-plus touchdown.
Talked about it, but last week it was the other corner, Cameron Dancer, with the unfortunate play against Seattle. Kirk Cousins taken down back inside the 15 by Allen Bailey. The oldest man on defense, 20 career sacks, now make it 21.
And that's going to come right over Ezra Cleveland, who's in for Drew Samia, and just get knocked back a little bit, and now he's on your upfield shoulder.
Allen Bailey, 31 years of age, 10th year in the league. So with Kansas City until 2018 left, and then they won a Super Bowl, but a nice play there. 2nd and 20, and out in front of Alexander Madison, trying to get him down the sideline. Alua Khan was right there with him.
Yeah, but that's one of those situations where you've got a matchup that should favor you as the Minnesota offense. So Alexander Madison just got to get a little bit better in that situation. When you get a linebacker like Foye Oluokun out there, you should be able to get over the top of him and stack him and give your quarterback a shot.
200 yards of offense to the Vikings, dealing with a 3rd and 20. Getting it to Jefferson, still a long way to go. Falcons letting him catch it in front and wrangling him down at the 25, and Minnesota will have to punt it. Just a frustrating day for Kirk Cousins.
Well, they've never been able to establish any type of rhythm during the course of the game. As soon as they get something going, Atlantic turns around and responds and comes right back, and they haven't gained any ground. Too many negative plays today as well.
Yeah, Darryl, we talked about it, but against Seattle, they had the ball for almost 40 minutes. They haven't even had it for 15 yet here in this game. Good special teams play, though, by Harrison Hand. Tomorrow afternoon on Fox, a special edition of the NFL on Fox as the Chiefs and Bills make up their rescheduled game for Thursday night. It all starts tomorrow 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific on Fox, NFL Network, and also it'll be streaming on Prime Video. .32 seconds left in the third. And we talked about the time of possession. That tells the story. So now 61 plays through 3 quarters, as this will likely wind down to the end of the third.
Yeah, and 25 rushes by Atlanta. So, trying to strike that balance today. 26 rushes, 35 pass plays. So, kind of the style that we expected to see from Minnesota. Minnesota just hasn't had the ball enough. They haven't had enough time to establish that rhythm.
And because of that, it's been all about Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons. forcing 3 turnovers, and they have won every quarter to this point as we head to the 4th. All Kirk Cousins can do is sit and wait. There's a steep hill to climb right now for the Vikings as Atlanta will try to chew some of that clock. Todd Gurley getting a few.
Yeah, and it's just kept this Minnesota defense honest. You know, they're not rushing it well. You know, they're under 3 yards of rushing attempt, but they've committed to it. It's there, and you've got to account for it, and they've used it as play action. You know, Matt Ryan has been able to use those run fakes and then come out and throw the ball down the field.
And that will be a new jersey needed. Or is that the shirt underneath? That's just the shirt underneath the jersey. Third down and 4. Ryan underneath Gurley. Atlanta able to just keep that offense on the field yet again out to the 48.
Really nice job by Matt Ryan, just stepping up in the pocket a little bit. You got DJ Wanham's going to have some pressure coming in from your right side. You step in, get it to Gurley. There you go. Stiff arm, lower the shoulder, get some extra yards.
I know, sound like a broken record, Moose, but last week Seattle 0 of 7 on third downs. Atlanta now 8 of 13. Across the 50. Matt Ryan, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 8 yards shy of 300.
Yeah, there's some questioning, you know, of his start to the season at 0-5. You know, what role had Matt Ryan played in that start, and hadn't thrown a touchdown in 11 quarters coming into the game. And boy, he's been outstanding this afternoon. Just done a really nice job. Managed the game well, taking his shots when he has, extended plays, gave his guys an opportunity to make big plays. Great command of the offense this afternoon.
Out close to a first down, maybe a yard short. And you know, after all the Dan Quinn talk this week, a lot of the media turned the attention to Matt Ryan, said, hey, what's the future of him at quarterback? And he came out and said, hey, I know we rent these lockers. My future is not guaranteed in Atlanta.
No, and everybody will look at Raheem Morris and, you know, his 11-game audition. But Arthur Blank, you know, he has said he's going to allow the next coach, the next GM, to have all the personnel decisions. But these guys also know that they're putting their film on tape for that evaluation process right here.
Mentioned it earlier, but in addition to Dan Quinn, Thomas Dimitroff no longer the GM, to your point. Rich McKay handling the duties, and now that Viking defense showing up here. Knocking Todd Gurley in the backfield. Again, it's Cameron Dantzler.
He's just got great confidence in his run support. I mean, he understands everything. He's got good angles coming in. He doesn't hesitate. He trusts his eyes. When he sees it, he comes and gets it. I mean, he's unblocked, sure. That means Todd Gurley's got to make that guy miss, and he's not able to make him miss. He slows him down enough for his teammates to get there.
So that will force the second punt of the game for Sterling Hoffrichter. And flags coming in.
False start. Offense, number 91. It's a 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
I guess that's one of those situations where if you're Atlanta, you need to try to get him to jump. You can pick up the first down. It doesn't really hurt your punter.
I think it was a little bit of the reverse of that. Minnesota had brought everybody in, had brought the returner up, so they were trying to overload that front. They were coming after that punt, and I think some of the guys from Atlanta got a little bit nervous and started rocking backwards. Here they come again.
Yeah, there's nobody back. You're right. Hoffrichter, though, able to get away a short punt. And it takes an unfriendly bounce. Knocked down around the 25. So 11:19 to go, and Kirk Cousins running out of time. This Viking offense, they need to get going in a hurry. Interim head coach Raheem Morris, you know, he and Kirk Cousins were together in Washington. Cousins' first 3 years. Raheem Morris was the defensive backs coach, and today he is getting the better of Kirk Cousins 30-7. And Cousins being hit as he threw it towards Thielen. Allen Bailey, who had a sack earlier, knocks him to the ground.
He's starting to become a force inside, and again, we've seen these guys, they're splitting double teams. He's going to come from right here, work to the inside. Ezra Cleveland's got to get down. You got to get in front of him. You can't be perpendicular to him and think you're going to be able to keep him off your quarterback.
Inside handoff, and Madison knocked down after a short gain. And again, it's Bailey with a tackle. Just couldn't. You said it earlier. They can't really get anything going in the ground game. Under 30 yards rushing, 28 to be precise. 160 a game coming in. Batted down and incomplete. Great coverage. Isaiah Oliver knocking it free of Chad Beebe.
You're sending your punt team out right now. You're getting to the point. I know this part of the field, it's do or die, but I wonder the way that Atlanta is moving the ball. That, you know, maybe not down the field for points, but they are taking time off the clock. I mean, you're a 3-possession game.
Yeah, you're getting into dire territory. Atlanta just continuing to dominate. Inside of 11 minutes left. Falcons by 23. Meanwhile, this one has been all Atlanta, coming in at 0-5 and dominating the Minnesota Vikings. And Matt Ryan, instead of going conservative, he goes back to the air and finds Julio Jones.
Now you get one-on-one coverage on the outside, and again, it's just the familiarity that these guys have developed, the chemistry they've developed. A little back shoulder throw right there. You get Cameron Dantzler a little bit too far down the field, and you pull it back on the back shoulder.
On that 31-yard strike, Matt Ryan goes over 300 yards for the day. He's at 323. And Julio Jones, 8 catches, 137 yards, and 2 scores. But the run game, nothing. Brian Hill erased quickly. Todd Davis the first to get there.
Yeah, Todd Davis does a real nice job. Just kind of gets in the backfield and blows everything up. That allows his guys to come in and help out.
An injury timeout. So Shamar Stephen was shaken up on the play. He walks off, and now 2nd and 10. Ryan getting it outside to Hayden Hurst for an 8-yard gain. He steps out of bounds.
Needs to be a little bit more aware there. Hayden Hurst could have got his foot in the ground and got upfield. He had Julio Jones downfield ahead of him. May have been able to get some more yards after the catch on that one.
Clock does start after the reset, although it paused for a moment. Talked about it. 3rd downs have been the story. Complete flip the script from their trip out west to Seattle. Up the middle with Gurley, and Gurley looks like he has it. He does indeed. 1st down, Atlanta.
That's a good job getting inside. Got under the attempted tackle by Anthony Harris. It's a good vision by Todd Gurley down in there between the tackles.
All smiles on that Atlanta sideline. Atlanta Falcon fans, though, as we alluded to, they're saying, hold on. We want to wait until it's all zeros in the fourth quarter. And a little miscommunication. Olamide Zaccheaus was going downfield.
And that's the difference between 800 or 4 or 5 throws together and maybe not quite 50.
Yeah, Zaccheaus just the second-year receiver. And Matt Ryan said he's a guy who's made a big jump just because he hasn't had a lot of experience. He was getting a big boost in production with Julio Jones being out, but a more quiet day today with Jones back in the lineup. This time it's Brandon Powell, another one of those young receivers going down to grab it. But it hasn't been the young guys, it's been the veteran, the 10-year veteran Jones, who stepped up today. That was the first of his 2 touchdown catches. That stopped the streak of Matt Ryan 11 quarters without a touchdown, and then he just kept doing his thing, Julio Jones.
Yeah, whether you're stretching him down the field or dropping it off and he's run after the catch, that one right there, just a great adjustment between Julio Jones and Matt Ryan for the long touchdown.
And Matt Ryan looking to maybe step up and run, and then 3 purple shirts there to drag him down, led by Ifeadi Odenigbo.
And the big thing right now is don't turn the ball over. You've got an opportunity for points. Matt Ryan very lucky right there. He had that ball with one hand on it, and it may have come loose a little bit, and he was able to re-secure possession. But the biggest thing he couldn't do there was turn that ball over, and that got close.
Atlanta with the 1 turnover today compared to the 3 by Minnesota. Younghoe Koo trying to make it 4 for 4. And from 43 yards out, no problem. Atlanta pads the lead, 33-7. Well, Matt Ryan has done his part today, 336 yards, 3 scores, and smiling over there on the sideline as Atlanta comes in at 0-5 and is completely dominated from the start. Those 2 guys have been the top 2 targets for Mr. Ryan. Very productive day. So for Atlanta, former head coach Dan Quinn, GM Thomas Dimitroff, they were fired after last weekend's game. Now, we all know where this started. You go back to the Super Bowl, they blow the 25-point lead, largest in Super Bowl history. But since that loss, 25-30 under Dan Quinn. And as we discussed, this season, multiple come-from-behind victories. Dallas came back on them. The Bears came back on them. They change out for Raheem Morris. They come in here 0-5, and they're up 33-7. With 7:07 left in the 4th. Jefferson able to high point it and bring it down. And not only that, but because of a positive COVID test, they weren't even in their facility this week on Thursday, the Falcons.
No, they were very conservative in their approach. The NFL told them they could open up Thursday afternoon, but Raheem Morris, the organization, decided to keep it closed all day Thursday just to be safe, err on that side of safety. So it has been a very, very unusual week for the Atlanta Falcons getting ready for this game.
A flag comes in here as the Vikings try to pick up the pace, and B.C. Johnson has his first catch.
Hey, look at these hands. Defense number 20. It's a 5-yard penalty and automatic first down.
Let's sneak in a game break. Here's Kurt Menefee.
Well, Falcon fans are hoping a coaching change works there. It certainly looks like it is in Houston. They won last week in the first game under interim coach Romeo Crennel, and they lead Tennessee after the 53-yard touchdown pass to Will Fuller. Of course, the Packers and Bucks will be coming up in America's Game of the Week after your game is done in Atlanta, Brandon.
All right, Kurt, thank you very much. The Vikings trying to muster something together here late. Ameer Abdullah tripping after he caught it. And only getting back to the line of scrimmage.
That's kind of the way the day has gone for the Minnesota Vikings today. They've just not been able to get any traction or to stay upright at any point during this game. Very surprised to see the way this game has unfolded this afternoon.
Yeah, because again at 1-4, we were talking about how deceiving that record was. We thought that they were much better than a 1-4 team.
But you just kind of go back and you look at who this team has played, and they're good quarterbacks. So you're getting after a young secondary, but it's Rodgers and Phillip Rivers, and Ryan Tannehill is an up-and-coming player in this league and dynamic. Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, they played good teams, and so there was a reason why, but just not the same Vikings offense or team that we've seen through the first few weeks.
Here they're going deep downfield and able to connect to the 15-yard line. Only the third time they targeted Adam Thielen, and unfortunately for the Vikings now, even though he caught it, he is slow to get up. And his wife looking on nervously. Last year he had the hamstring injury, ended up missing 6 games.
You hope in a situation like this is just the wind knocked out of him, because he goes up for the catch and then kind of comes down awkwardly on his back. So on the outside, we're going to get A.J. Terrell.
Oh boy, a heck of a catch.
A lot of weight onto that right shoulder. Great concentration, great battling for the football, both guys, and you see all that weight comes down onto that right shoulder.
So he jogs off as the family looks on. Through 5 weeks, Pro Football Focus had him ranked as the top wide receiver in the NFL. The 6 touchdown receptions. But as I said, just the third time he's targeted today. Second catch now for 49 yards. Hopefully Thielen is okay. Cousins looking for Beebe, and Beebe picked up and dropped by Deion Jones, WWF style, at the 5-yard line. WWE style.
Well done. I tell you, 45 has played a heck of a game today, and you talk about those run hit guys. He's the one guy that's really jumped out today.
Over the middle, is that caught? No signal. They'll say incomplete. Kyle Rudolph was trying to wrangle it in, but they say it hit the ground. Yep.
Never had possession.
Good look. And it was Deion Jones there again. He said it. He started his day off with the interception and has played great. Good sign there, obviously, for Minnesota with Thielen back.
45. So hot.
Up the middle, Ameer Abdullah, and that'll set him up first and goal. But those seconds, those precious seconds, just ticking off.
Exactly. You've got to get this punched into the end zone as quick as you possibly can.
That was Ameer Abdullah's first rushing attempt of the season. And now Cousins going to the air. And there is Adam Thielen. His 7th touchdown to lead all wide receivers in the 2020 season.
It's a nice little change-up to what you normally see down here on the goal line. Usually you're going to cross formation all the way. Watch Adam Thielen. As he crosses Deion Jones, he's just going to get vertical. Now he's going to go up. Take away the strength of Deion Jones, which is that athleticism, that speed, and instead of running laterally, get turned and get right upfield vertically. Nice little change in the play design.
And now they will go for 2. And Irv Smith able to take it in. So 33-15. But with the 18-point deficit, still a 3-possession game. You see him trying to work out. You mentioned he fell hard on that right shoulder on this play.
Yeah. And you know, being back in, you know, immediately one of the things you're really concerned about is a broken collarbone in that situation where everything comes down. You know, hopefully just you know, just some soreness, but again, just I really like that route design. We see so much down in that tight red zone where you know, you're doing the mesh routes where you're crossing and trying to have defenders run into each other and free somebody up, but to cross formation and get vertical. You can see he's still working on that right shoulder.
Most catches first 6 games in team history. Another guy you may have heard of in Randy Moss, who had 8 back in 04. But the 7 right now, the most in the NFL, one better than Mike Evans.
All right, now Dan Bailey was in Dallas, and I used to go out to the facility and, you know, year-round. He is one of the most inventive onside kick guys I've ever seen. I've seen him take it 10 yards beyond the line and then pull it back for his guys to recover.
Let's see, and that one too easy for Deion Jones.
And that was a dud. That's the easy one. It's coming kind of quick. You're not going to take the big hits, and it gives you a little bit of a Sunday hop.
.358 left. Well, Fox Sports lost one of its longtime ministers. There's Dan Detman, an outstanding camera operator, passed away earlier this season. Our thoughts go to his family, to his wife Kathy, and children Nikki, Christine, and Michael. Our family at Fox will miss him greatly. Dan Detman was 68 years of age. Good run here for Brian Hill, draggling would-be tacklers down to the 35.
And to me, this is the most impressive thing from Atlanta so far. Okay, we talked about the run and hit players and what a great job they've done with the challenge that Coach Morris put out there. But when you watch that Chicago game and you just see the inability of this offense to sustain a drive late in that fourth quarter to help them earn a victory, that has been the big change today. Your word respond is spot on. You used it early in the third quarter. Every time this offense has come out here in the second half with the Vikings trying to get back into this game, they've responded.
This time the run going nowhere. You may have seen it on the screen, but we'll toss you to bonus coverage of Chicago and Carolina, and a tight one when we are done here. And it was kind of an obvious statement because of the 2 leads that they've blown, but Raheem Morris said earlier this week that we need to keep our foot on the gas when we've got the lead, and they have done that here, to your point. They've
stayed aggressive. They had a good plan coming in. You know, I like the way they've run the football here this afternoon. It's an element in this offense with Todd Gurley, and you talked about it being by committee with Brian Hill, with Ito Smith. Everybody's getting some touches, and then you've got that dynamic skill set on the outside. And the Atlanta Falcons at 0-5, we were both shocked. The Minnesota Vikings at 1-4, we're both shocked. You know, Atlanta's come out and they've corrected a lot of their issues during the course of the week. And, you know, I heard Howie, you know, at halftime talk about you don't know how much that loss at Seattle impacts a team like Minnesota. I mean, you look at the box score of that, and you're trying to figure out how Minnesota lost that game. I mean, over 40 carries for over 200 yards. Time of possession was so uneven. 0 for 7 on third down, they held the Seahawks to. So it's just a devastating loss for them, and you wonder if it's the exact same thing that Atlanta kind of shared with us. That Dallas game and that Chicago game took a lot out of us, and we didn't realize it. Maybe that Seattle game took a lot out of this Minnesota team today. Yeah. No 0-5 team, by the way, has ever made the playoffs. 1-4 teams, 10 of them have gone to the playoffs since 1990. And we did see the Colts a couple of years ago at 1-5 go to the playoffs. Third down and 1, and he's going to be a little short. So the Vikings saying, don't go anywhere yet. As Minnesota will take their first timeout with 2:20 left. So Ryan, 0 touchdowns the previous 2 games, 3 today. And Julio Jones did his thing. And the big note at the bottom.
bottom that you just mentioned, and we keep talking about it, but the time of possession, again, Minnesota had it for almost 40 minutes last week in Seattle.
It's amazing. And we came on the air talking about how the Vikings offense was going to have to be the side of the ball that carried this team out of this 1-4 hole that they've started out in. The defense is young. There's been a lot of changes in the offseason that have impacted them. The offense came out today and was a detriment more than they were somebody that defense could lean on.
Really from the start when Cousins threw the pick on the first play from scrimmage. Atlanta going to throw it here, and wow, Hayden Hurst is wide open. Down the sideline he goes and in for the score. 35 yards, and that may be the easiest touchdown reception Hayden Hurst ever has.
I don't know if you want to run that one in this situation. I might want to keep that one in the playbook for a little bit further down the road when I really need it in a tight game. But bringing him all the way across formation, and Minnesota just absolutely loses him in coverage. That's been another thing today. We've seen Atlanta, in games before where the coverage has not been tight and it's been easy on the opposing quarterback. Today, it has been the flip-flop of that. This secondary has played well at times, but there's some guys that have been dropped in coverage and easy throws for Matt Ryan.
Just what an interesting performance, though, today by Atlanta. Totally different from what we've seen, but they were very vocal with us about how much they loved Dan Quinn, how emotional this week was. So it's not like they're moving on from a guy that they didn't enjoy being around. They wanted to come out here and prove that they had a lot of talent. Yeah,
Raheem Morris going all the way back to Hofstra. Dan Quinn gave him his opportunity, his start into football. Jeff Ulbrich, very emotional. He didn't come to Atlanta for professional reasons. He came for personal reasons. He loves Dan Quinn as a coach and a leader. It was unanimous. We heard it from the writers, everybody in the organization. He's a great guy. We've had the opportunity to visit with him on occasion. You're not going to meet a nicer, greater guy than Dan Quinn, and it's just a shame. And I think that was something that was expressed by Jeff Ulbrich as well. When one of the good guys has something happen like it did to Dan this week, it hurts everybody, because he's one of the guys you want to have success, you want to cheer for, because he does things the right way. And Jeff was very disappointed that this team wasn't able to play well under Dan Quinn and making sure that he was here for the entire season.
Yeah. And you heard it in Arthur Blank's comments as well, just how much he loved Dan Quinn. And look, Dan Quinn will bounce back. He'll get a job somewhere as an assistant probably, but at least for Raheem Morris and company today can be a moment where they can say, all right, now we feel like we're a little bit back on the balance beam.
It was a good performance, and that's what you needed to see. You needed to see something different. When you make a change, you make a change because you need things to be different. And there were things today that were different. Raheem Morris, he called out his run and hit players. They played well. They made big plays to turn the tide. When the game was in the balance, guys were stepping up and making those critical plays, and Matt Ryan came out and played one of his best games of the season.
It's been a different story for Kirk Cousins, although he does connect here to Rudolph to take us down to the 2-minute warning. 40-15 Falcons. Now the Vikings honor the memory of defensive end Chris Dolman by placing his Pro Football Hall of Fame bust in the stadium near his Vikings Ring of Honor plaque. Of course, he played for the Vikings and the Falcons, and Dolman tragically passing away in January at just age 58 after courageously battling brain cancer for more than 2 years. Became a Pro Football Hall of Famer in 2012. And he is here in spirit and in cardboard cutout with us today.
What a great player. You talk about one of the more dominant edge rushers in the history of the game. Over 150 sacks, 4th all time. Had to play against him a few times. You knew where 56 was every snap.
Pressure. Cousins getting it away to Irv Smith. Out across the 50. 13-yard gain there, and as Atlanta celebrates on the sideline, Minnesota just trying to come up and get this offense going fast, see if they can put it in the end zone one more time. This should help. Justin Jefferson able to escape and get in. I thought Kendall Sheffield might rip his jersey off. But Justin Jefferson stays on his feet and scores it from 49 yards out. And his family loves it.
This is what this offense has the potential to be. We talked about them needing to carry the team. He's on the outside working against Kendall Sheffield. Double move, stutter and go, gets by clean. This is a rookie receiver who plays beyond his years in the NFL. He's going to be a special guy down the stretch. But when you talk about Thielen and Jefferson, they get Dalvin Cook back along with Alexander Madison, Kyle Rudolph, Irv Smith. They've got the players here to be much better than they performed today.
Two-point conversion, guess who? Justin Jefferson. Yes, they do have the players, you're right. And we've got a game break right now. Let's go to L.A. Here again, Carissa Thompson.
Thanks, Brandon. Colts trailing 27-21 against the Bengals. Phillip Rivers finds Jack Doyle for this 14-yard score to give the Colts their first lead of the day. Added a field goal, so they're up 31-27.
All right, seesaw battle there. But 40-23. But again, just to talk about the positive note, you know, Kirk Cousins mentioned all those weapons he feels he has out wide. He said, look, I've had some years with just 2 or 3 options. I feel I've got 5 options out wide, and Justin Jefferson's certainly one of them.
And the thing when you're in a situation like that is you can come into any game, and it doesn't matter how the defense chooses, how your opponent chooses to defend you. You can remedy that, whether you want to run the football. When they get Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison rolling, that's tough. Their offensive line did not play all that well today. That was one of the areas where Atlanta really got after Minnesota. They've got to get that shored up. But when you can come out and either run or throw the ball, you want to load the box up and try to stop our run. We're going to hit you down the field. You want to play soft coverage. We're going to run the ball at you. They have the ability to do that. The offensive line, I think, is something they need to get shored up.
And Dan Bailey has not been good on the onside kicks today, as that one fails as well. But Justin Jefferson, rookie receiving yard leader through the first 6 games in Vikings history, and he now passes both Diggs and Moss.
That's a big name. You jump ahead of Randy Moss. I mean, especially his rookie year. I mean, that was oh, those numbers were unbelievable for Randy Moss. Boy, he was something else. Boy, he just took this league by storm.
But all of that, the Falcons still up 17. I mentioned that both of these teams, and they didn't make excuses about it, but they've had tough schedules. They've played tough quarterbacks. Well, Raheem Morris getting the victory here, and now they'll have the Lions, Panthers, Broncos the open week, and then at New Orleans.
Yeah, and they've got something really good to build on for the first time all season long. And I do believe that what they finally shared with us, and you expect teams to be resilient and just bounce back, but when you have back-to-back losses like they did against Dallas and Chicago, that's such a gut punch. And this group just struggled to get back off of that. So, you know, what do they do now? What do they do now that we've seen them really kind of play to the potential that this team talked about with us when we were there in week 2, getting ready for the second game of the season? This is what we expected in all 3 phases, and it took us until week 6 to get there.
But they got there 40-23. And that will be your final. Matt Ryan, on the day that he passes 53,000 yards for his career. And the Falcons also bust up that streak that they had going in the wrong direction in Minnesota. They had lost 4 straight. Mike Zimmer had never been defeated by the Atlanta Falcons until today. So Atlanta gets their first win of the year, and now we go to Kurt and the State Farm Game Break Show.
Welcome to the State Farm Game Break Show.
Well, Tom Brady and the Bucs will be hosting Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in America's Game of the Week, coming your way in just moments. But first, we want to give you a little bonus coverage because that's the kind of people we are. Here's Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Shannon Spake, and a one-score game between the Bears and the Panthers. Take it away, Kenny.
Gets turned around and having to do this acrobatic one-handed catch.
We welcome another new audience. Chicago Bears take over The Panthers do have 3 timeouts.
Correct. Game is far from over.
A minute 55 remaining as Foles hands it off. Montgomery out to the 45-yard line for a gain of 7.
And this is where the Panthers all season long, they call a timeout. They struggled all season long in the run game.
Panthers used their first timeout. An early Carolina turnover led to this. First NFL touchdown for Cole Kmet. And then in the third quarter, Bears force a turnover. Ball knocked away from Mike Davis. Nick Foles takes it in. And then Mike Davis, the former Bear, with a Carolina touchdown. A couple of field goals after that. And with a minute 49 remaining, 7-point lead for Chicago. 3 of their 4 wins have been in come-from-behind fashion. But a different story today as the Bears took the early lead and have not looked back. Second down and 3. It is Montgomery. He'll gain a yard, and now Carolina will use timeout number 2. And a huge 3rd and 2 coming up for Chicago.
Yeah, essentially, the Panthers have to stop them here. They have 1 timeout left. If the Bears are able to convert, won't be enough time. They can essentially take a knee, victory formation, and call it. And then they can thank their defense for playing lights-out football, creating turnovers, putting pressure on the quarterback, getting the interceptions. But, you know, you look at the Panthers are slowly becoming a good team. Remember, they talked about getting a feel for each other. They didn't have the 4 preseason games to understand how each other is going to, when I say each other, players play off each other.
3rd down and 2. Foles looking to throw. It's broken up. Pass intended for Robinson. Rasul Douglas defending. So the clock stops with a minute 40 remaining, and the Bears will punt it away.
Run the ball. Please run the ball. Allen Robinson's going to come underneath right here. Just run the ball, because now you don't take off any time. They didn't have to waste their timeout. At least if you don't convert the first down running the football, they have to use that last timeout.
Bears only able to run 15 seconds off the clock during that possession. Carolina used 2 of their timeouts. The punt from the 35-yard line with Cooper deep into the end zone for a touchback. So, Teddy Bridgewater and the Carolina Panthers, who have won 3 consecutive games after losing their first 2 this season, have a minute 32 and 1 timeout, trailing by 7.
Yeah, Nagy needs to, I know he wants that back, because time is your friend and you want to use up as much time as possible. I understand you're trying to convert. You go 3 straight runs, whether you get it or not. At worst, Carolina has no timeouts now going on this final drive.
Instead, the Panthers with 1 timeout. They start from their 20, trailing by 7. Bridgewater on first down, throws it, it's picked off. DeAndre Houston Carson comes up with the interception to put an exclamation point on this game for the Chicago Bears.
And credit the front 4 for the Bears. They've been on it all day long. Robert Quinn, this is what they brought him in for, to get pressure on the quarterback. And look how quickly he gets in there. As soon as Bridgewater's on his back foot, Robert Quinn's right there. He has no choice but to get the ball out and take the sack. And man, that was a tremendous, tremendous play. That's the ball game.
First career interception for DeAndre Houston Carson.
Yep.
as Foles takes a knee.
And that sums up the game right there. That was a microcosm of the game with the Bears defense. 4 sacks, a bunch of pressures that we don't list here, 3 takeaways, red zone still lights out, opponent's third down still tops. I mean, you can't score on these guys. Then, of course, they deserve to be 5-1. And people can say, well, they're not scoring 40 a game. Who cares? They're 5-1.
So the Panthers out of timeouts. Bears will be able to run out the clock.
All smiles on the sideline, and they deserve it. They deserve it.
The Chicago Bears will go to 5-1 on the season. They will take on the Rams on Monday Night Football next week. Panthers will head to New Orleans. Bears have been involved in so many close finishes, Jonathan. In Detroit, week 1, and then the Giants with an opportunity on the final play of the game, week 2.
This
week
is the
3 in Atlanta.
Yep, we had that, and you're watching a lot of games that were down double digits, 2 scores.
And now another huge play by the Chicago defense. Great job by our entire crew, led by producer Fran Morrison, our director Brian Lilly, Associate Director Caden Pfeiffer, Broadcast Associates Cody Novak and Sarah Shields, our technical producer Jay Johnson, Technical Director Jared Lacrani, our graphics operator Ben Nelson. Here in the broadcast booth, Dave Corris, Barry Hockhauser, Karen Blackman.
Akeem Hicks bringing a sigh of relief right there.
This Bears defense coming up with an interception on the first Carolina possession.
Yep.
And the last.
It's frankly good complementary football.
180. What's that?
State Farm Game Break is coming up next. Matt Nagy and the Bears, first time since 2006. Start with 3 straight road wins. They went to the Super Bowl that season. So Chicago now 5-1. Carolina Panthers dropped to 3-3. Their 3-game win streak comes to an end. Big day for the Bears defense. They come up with 4 sacks and 3 takeaways. Nick Foles with a touchdown pass and a touchdown run. For Jonathan Vilma and Shannon Spake, I'm Kenny Albert. So long from Charlotte. We head to Kurt and the Gang in Los Angeles for the State Farm Game Break.